Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I have a great show. I've been waiting for this show for a number of weeks because we love talking about logistics. And of course, as you know from watching the show, whenever we can get a leading expert on the show about logistics in a very particular niche or space, we love it. Mr. Andre Corbert, of course, is the CEO of STT Logistics Group. And man, oh man, I mean, when you think about what happens in the world today, when we talk about things that have to move from point A to B, a lot of times things are heavy. I mean, we're talking about heavy hauling, and I'm always wondering how these giant cranes and all these heavy equipment pieces get from point A to B. And of course, Andre and his company, they're right in the middle of it. They're moving heavy logistics around the world. They have such a great transportation company, such a great logistics passion that I had to have Andre on the show. So Andre, welcome to the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series.
Hey, Andy, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. I'm very excited about this interview as well.
Yeah, it's super cool. You've got this great thing that I love. You say, you call, we haul, that's all. We've looked at the photos. I mean, you have hauled gigantic, heavy pieces of equipment all around the world. I mean, you're a go-to, company when somebody has something that's difficult to haul, something that's used, something that needs to go within the United States or even overseas. They call you. Let's pull the lens back, though, to 30,000 feet. Tell us about STT Logistics Group, and then we're going to get into it.
Absolutely. It'll be my pleasure. So STT Logistics Group is a company that I founded back in 2015. And we started the company just moving vehicles at first. We were hired once by the manager of an oil drilling company in Texas. He gave us an opportunity to move other pieces of equipment. And that's where that curiosity started. We started looking into different niches. We started getting very heavily embedded into moving heavy equipment, oversized equipment, overweight equipment. And right now we have been moving, like I say, besides equipment, we have different niches like produce, containers, anything that can go on a truck, a plane, a boat, or a train, we can move it for you.
I love it. That sounds like a television commercial. I mean, we need to get you on the big screen. When you look at the numbers, I mean, it's impressive. So for the entrepreneurs watching the show, we're not talking about a few items being moved around. I mean, we're talking about thousands of clients around the world, tens of thousands of loads transported, and you really make sure that, the people that transport, I mean, you do background checks, you make sure that their insurance and licensure is all up to date. I mean, you make sure that the carriers do what they're supposed to do and that they can provide the superior service that you become known for, because in your business, peace of mind is everything in every step of the process. Isn't that the way you built the business?
Absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. The most important thing to us is to be able to provide peace of mind to the customer. There's a bunch of people who can get a load moved. But we're not just in the moving loads business, but we're actually in the giving peace of mind to people business while we're doing it. And like you said, we do background checks on all our carriers. We make sure that they have the right insurances, that they're legit drivers, that they have the right equipment. We don't want your equipment to go missing or the driver being stopped halfway and then your equipment being delayed, because we understand that for a lot of businesses, having their loads delivered in a timely manner is crucial. Right? So it can be a bunch of different scenarios. You might be buying a piece of equipment to resell it to someone. So the new buyer now, you want to make sure he's happy. You want to make sure he gets his equipment on time. You might be taking this to a construction site, and the fact that the equipment gets delayed might delay the whole construction. We know how that could be very costly for the construction company. So what we look to do is to find the best drivers possible to offer a great price, a fair price, and obviously that we deliver with peace of mind and on a timely manner.
Yeah, it's so interesting. We know when we drive around the United States, we get up in the morning, we go to work, and we see all the big 53-foot rigs and all the, big equipment being hauled. But when we start thinking about international logistics, it seems to be a much more complicated sort of endeavor, but you've been able to streamline it for your clients. Let's talk about it a little bit. When you have to bring a heavy piece of equipment from the US over to Africa or somewhere else to Europe, you know, do you have a full team that works on the international logistics sort of protocol?
Absolutely, we do. So again, as part of the service that we provide, we also look to be a one-stop shop for our customers. And one of the opportunities that we saw in the business is that there are different transportation companies that will handle one type of freight, but they won't handle the other, right? So if you're a customer that moves different types of freight, you might have to deal with 1, 2, even 5 companies at a time to transport different things. And, you know, that can be annoying, a bunch of different points of contact. So what we've done is we've created this one-stop shop where whether you're going locally, whether you're going nationwide or international, you can handle it with us directly. Again, any type of loads. And yes, we have shipped to 26 countries in the last year. We've shipped to South and Central America, we've shipped to Africa, and we've shipped to Asia, and we've also shipped from Europe over to the United States, right? So most of our loads go from the United States overseas, but we do bring things from overseas back to the United States as well. And you know, it's especially challenging when you're moving these oversized pieces of equipment. Take, for example, we moved the Manitowoc 888 all the way to Lagos, Nigeria. And so this was a very exciting, very complicated job where we actually ended up hiring 6 different companies to do everything that we had to do in regards to dismantling the load. So the crane needs to be taken apart. There's a bunch of pieces that come off it. We moved the main body on an RGN trailer, which is a very specialized truck. This was 120,000 pounds that we were moving on this one truck. And then we had what we call fallout loads, which is basically anything that you took off the equipment that can't go on the main trailer. We sent them on other smaller trucks. So we used 16 fallout trucks for this, right? So you must have a team of people that dismantles all of this, another team of people that are actually handling the loading into the trailer. Depending on the type of equipment, you need different type of cranes, I'm sorry. So we had 3 different type of cranes on site, just moving everything around, putting everything on that trailer, specialists to make sure everything's properly strapped, escort services to make sure that, you know, your load is being taken safe throughout the route. And then once we take it to the port, we load all of that into a boat. That, you know, takes a couple of weeks to get, actually almost a month to get to Nigeria. Once it's in Nigeria, now we have to hire a different team to come and put everything together at the final destination for the customer. So it's one of those jobs where you really can't get bored. No day is like another. Every type of loads has different needs, different characteristics in it. And, you know, that keeps us learning, improving, learning about different things all the time. And that's what we've managed to achieve, providing, you know, such a complete service for our customers. We can even get, you know, if a customer needs a customs broker, we'll go ahead and get a customs broker for it. Basically, whatever the customer needs. We don't want the customer to be having to go all over the place to solve their transportation and logistics needs. We want to handle everything for them. Like we said, you call, we haul. That's all.
I love it. Yeah, it's so good. You make it seamless. Now, I drive down the freeway or the highway. You see these giant trucks, and on the back they have these big yellow signs that say oversized load. And, you know, you come up on them and you see what's on those, you know, those trailers. I mean, they've got tractors and, you know, dump trucks and giant, you know, caterpillars. The men and women that drive those oversized loads, do they have a certain expertise? In other words, do you have a certain group of people that you lean on that really have more of an expertise driving the oversized loads versus just like a basic 53-foot semi?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's different type of specialized trucks. And basically what we do is based on the type of load that you're moving, we'll find out what kind of truck has the capabilities of doing it. And the next step is going to be, again, we're going to do a background check, not just on the company, but specifically on the driver who's going to be taking your load, right? So what kind of experience do they have? The more sophisticated the load is, we look for more proof, right? So a lot of the times, if we're moving very specialized pieces of equipment, we will look for drivers who can prove and send us documentation, because they're very proud of this work, right? It's a very good job that they do. So sometimes these big trucking companies, they'll document everything that they've done in the past. So we'll go through their files, we'll have them send their files and everything with pictures, and that way we can see that they've already moved similar pieces of equipment, they have the abilities to do it, and that way we know we can trust you. So there was this one time we were moving 140,000, 150,000 pound generator, and we were going up a little mountain, right? So we hired a surveyor, and the surveyor was saying, listen, you simply cannot drive this truck through this route. Long story short, we ended up finding someone who had done it already. And what we found out, this was, one of those things where you have an opportunity to see something different. And so what we did is we hired the truck that was taking the generator. In the back, right behind it, we had a crane driving behind it. And so on every curve, we would have the crane, this would move a couple of meters and then stop. The crane would actually pick up the back of the truck and move it a little bit to the side so that now they can keep it turning on the bend. It was, the last 23 miles was almost 9 hours, right? So again, it's very complicated and sophisticated job. You need people who really know what they're doing, because a lot of people will tell you it's not doable, right? But when you find the right people who have the right attitude and the right experience, they can get anything handled.
Wow, what a great story. So the crane would pick up the back of the truck, move it around a bit, and get it on its way. You mentioned cranes. So we have a lot of building in America, a lot of building going on throughout the world. And you see these massive cranes. I mean, you even see cranes on top of buildings. So do the crane companies, the people that own the cranes, do they transport their cranes typically through their own internal channel, their own business, or do they typically reach out to your company or a company like yours to move the cranes?
So it really depends. There are different sizes of cranes, like in any type of equipment, there's a bunch of different cranes. You have the smaller cranes, which on a small route, you can just have someone from your company drive them. If it's just a few miles from one location to another, you might just do a little drive-away service. There's other cranes that you can put into an RGN and just, pay the permits, escorts, and everything, and you'll be able to handle them. And then there are the really big, powerful cranes, right? Again, like the Manitowoc 888 that we were talking a little while ago. And cranes, I'm talking a lot about cranes because even though we move all sorts of equipment, cranes is probably one of the most interesting things to move, right? They're so big, like you said, they're so massive, and there's so much variety of them. And so when it's a very big crane, those companies do need to hire an external service. That's definitely where we will come in, and we will again do all the dismantling, make sure that we're taking good care of the load, and obviously we want to make sure that if we're taking the crane apart, that we have experts in the field taking the crane apart. You just don't want just anybody to do it, right? And we need to make sure, a lot of the times what we do is, if let's say I hired you in California to dismantle the crane, I have to hire the same person, pay them the tickets and everything, so that they can go to, let's say, Atlanta, Georgia, and put the crane back together once it's at the final location, right? And we want to make sure that all the pieces arrive, that we have an exact list of what is being transported, what is being dismantled, making sure everything arrives at final destination, and making sure the same people that took it apart are the ones responsible for putting it back together and making sure it works like it should.
I love it. I have an entrepreneurial question for you, because you read your online reviews of what's happening at STT Logistics. I mean, everybody loves it. One thing that comes very, very clear, loud and clear, is the way in which your company communicates with your clients. I mean, they go over and above their communication, and that's what they say about you and your team. Where did that come from as an entrepreneur, Andre, to have that passion to make sure that everybody on your team understands how important it is to communicate with your clients?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it all starts from the way I like to be treated when I'm doing business with someone else, when I am the customer, right? I am the kind of person that if I send my car to the shop and you say you're going to give me news by Tuesday, and by Wednesday you haven't called, I'm upset, right? And so that's when we realized that communication was really important. And we don't have just one person communicating with the customer. You'll have one agent assigned to your account. He'll be your main point of contact. However, you'll also have contact of the supervisor of that person. You'll have the contact of the dispatcher in that team. The dispatcher is the person handling everything to do with the logistics part, with actually the driver, right? And we went an extra step, and what we do is, for every agreement that you sign with my company and every time we deliver a load, there's a customer service team that will get in touch with you, and they will make sure that you're satisfied, that everything went well. That way we can keep a good track of the service that our team is providing, as well as the driver that we've hired. We want to make sure that he was polite, that he was that he was taking good care of you at the pickup location, at the drop-off location, making sure he's friendly, he's amicable, making sure he's communicative with the customer, right? So we've incorporated that, and I think that's one of the things our customers really like. We're really proud of the reviews you're mentioning. We have been working very, very hard on getting our name out there, and more than anything, there's no better publicity than other people talking good about your company, right? So we know that if we do a great job for our customers will keep on coming back to us, which is, that's just a healthy business relationship, right? I take care of my customer takes care of me. And at the same time, having those customers, and we're very thankful with them, having those customers talking good about us, letting people know what we're doing, that's definitely been one of the core pillars in how much we've been able to grow in the past few years. We're one of the fastest growing companies in the business, in the industry. And I would say a big part of that is because of the good word that our customers have put out there for us.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you look at what you've done, providing heavy equipment, transportation, and logistics solutions, really. Since 2015, you're making so many businesses, your clients, really more productive because you're seamless in the way in which you approach it. So let's talk about the entrepreneurial journey, because, when you started in 2015, were you thinking ahead? Were you saying to yourself, I'm going to try and become the biggest and the strongest, heavy transportation logistic company in the world? Or did you start it with a little bit more, hey, let's just get the first job and then we'll take it from there kind of attitude?
I think it was let's just get the first jobs done and we'll take it from there kind of attitude. At the same time, from the moment I started this business, I wanted to make it a huge business. I wanted to make sure, and our mission actually is, we're a company dedicated to the growth of our associates, focusing on meeting and exceeding our customers' expectations and experience when working with us. So let's talk a little bit about that first line, right? We're a company dedicated to the growth of our associates. I saw this industry as a huge industry, an industry that never stops, no matter what. Even during COVID, where everything was shut down, logistics cannot stop. The food simply can't stop being delivered from the farms to packaging facilities and then to the supermarket. The medicine, it needs to be delivered to the pharmacies and to the hospitals, right? So there's a bunch of things that never stop moving. I saw this as a huge opportunity, a huge blessing, and I wanted to share that with the people in my team. I think leadership is very important, and we focus on bringing people into the company so that we can actually transform their lives, both money-wise and mentally-wise, because a big part of what you experience in life comes from the mentality and the attitude that you have towards it, right? And also, we're a company that's very heavy invested into leadership, because we understand that if something is going wrong in a department or a division, that means there's a problem with leadership, right? So leadership, you need to pay a lot of good attention, very detailed attention to leadership. And when I say leadership, there's something wrong with leadership, it starts with me, right? Because it means that the leader that I have set on that department, on that division, he doesn't have some experience or he doesn't have some knowledge, and it is my responsibility as his leader to make sure that he learns, that he understands, that he improves, and that he can later take care of the people on the organization who work with him. That way, that people will take good care of our customers for us.
I love it. I mean, wow, Andre, for the entrepreneurs watching this show, rewind what Andre just said. I mean, that's some sage advice from someone that's built it very, very strongly. And the leadership position is one that you have to You have to walk the walk, you have to talk the talk, and you have to build your corporate culture from the top, which is what you've done very effectively. I know you've only cut out a certain amount of time. I can't even imagine how heavy and how big some of the giant machines are that are being transported by your company today throughout the world are. Let's get back to the entrepreneurs. So we have some younger entrepreneurs watching the show. They're listening to you. They're probably saying, well, I mean, this gentleman started 2015. He's crushing it out there. Did he ever hit a pothole? Did he ever hit a tough time? Maybe these younger entrepreneurs are hitting a tough time right now. So maybe you could share some insight to the younger entrepreneurs that are watching the show about how to get through those tough times.
Absolutely. Yes, we have hit tough times. In fact, I'm not extremely happy to say this, but we did go bankrupt a couple of times in the company. And I couldn't be more thankful for those situations. The toughest situations that we faced, those being two of the toughest of them, they have literally been the times where we learn the most, we improve the most, and ironically, right after the big hit is when we've grown the most, right? So I say you learn a lot more from your failures than from your successes. Because when you have a success, a lot of times you're not even paying attention to what you did, right? And then even if you were paying attention to what you did, you're so busy celebrating and congratulating yourself and everybody on your team that you can get a little bit distracted. On the other hand, when you have failures, you notice that, hey, I'm screwing up here. There's something that I'm doing wrong, and there's something that I need to fix. There's something that I need to learn so that I can improve, right? And I think that can be some of the most valuable advice that I could be giving to young entrepreneurs, and it's take the time to learn and improve. Do not give up when you hit a stone. Do not give up when you're having a rough time. Just understand that if you're having a bad time, if you're not liking what you're doing, there's something that you don't know, or there's something that you don't understand. And the information is available out there. You can get knowledge on YouTube. There's so much free content on YouTube. You can get all the knowledge that is in books, right? Find people who have already done what you want to do or something similar and follow their steps. Learn what they did. Learn what mistakes they've done and do not repeat them, and learn the things that they did good and replicate those things. And also, if you can, have a mentor. Have someone that can walk you through bad situations. Have someone that you have the confidence to go to and ask tough questions that you might not want to discuss with anybody, but that you have the confidence with this mentor, and this mentor will guide you through. I think, that's the best piece of advice. Look for the answers. They're out there, and don't give up.
Wow. I love it. Andre, I think you missed your calling as an Ivy League professor. I mean, that was just fantastic. I mean, that could be taught in a Harvard Business School right there. Listen, you and your company, you provide peace of mind to your clients every step of the way, every step of the process. You become a leader. This has been great to have you on the show. I'm going to bring you back on the show. Maybe we'll put you up in one of the giant machines, and we'll do a Zoom call off of one of the giant machines that you're transferring over to Africa. We'll have some fun with it. But I want to thank you so much for coming on the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series, Andre. This has been amazing.
Andy, I appreciate the invite. It's great being here, sharing with you and sharing with the young entrepreneurs around the world. And it would be absolutely my pleasure to be here with you again in the future and sharing more with the young entrepreneurs, because they're the future of our country and the world.